Well, I hope you can see from Tom's words why I have so much fun working with Tom. It's really, it is a treat, and it's been a treat around molecular engineering, and it's been a treat around quite a number of things connected to the university and even beyond the university as a whole. So thank you, Tom. It is, of course, wonderful to be here for the 10th anniversary of PME. And I'd like to say first that it's such a great treat because, first of all, it's been so successful, but there's another aspect to it, which is that this was a departure, as Tom indicated, as many of here know. It was a departure in multiple ways. And it was a departure for the university that had systematically decided not to do engineering for 100 years. We won't address the quality of that decision making. I have thoughts about it, but that was certainly one feature that one was dealing with. So that was new. It was also new around the particular nature of the central intellectual organizing principle of design at molecular scale and up. And it's not as if there were no people in other places doing that, but that the thinking about that as the central organizing principle for an institute and a school was itself a departure. And it was also a departure because of the nature of the organization. As Tom said, this was organized around themes or problems, wasn't organized around subdisciplines of engineering. And what all of that meant is that the people who were coming here to participate in creating and building this effort were going to have to be ambitious in terms of building something new and distinctive and being willing to take a risk, because when things are new and you're starting new things, there's risk involved. And right now, because it's had so much success, it's easy to ignore the fact that it started out with some risk involved. And I'll tell you, when I think back over time, I don't forget that was the case. And so it's particularly gratifying to be here with so many of you who have been so important in making this a reality. And I'm just suddenly reminded of the statement by Theodore Herzl, but re-quoted in The Big Lebowski by Walter Sobchak, the great Walter Sobchak, who reminded the dude that if you will it, it is no dream. But in any case, this has been a fantastic effort by so many people, and I just want to spend a moment thanking some people for what they did. First, I'd like to say, in a way, this sort of all begins with a question. Let me go back to where Tom was speaking. In the almost exactly 15 years ago, in September of 2006, there was a University of Chicago Board of Trustees retreat. And at that retreat, I was the new president that had essentially just gotten back. But, you're the president, time to do your thing. And so I put forward to the board 10 questions. And these were questions that I said, these are strategic issues for the university to be thinking about. I'm not going to try to answer them today. I don't want you to try to answer them today. What I would like is some sort of discussion and agreement that these are important questions for us to be thinking about, and that I and the administrative leadership and academic leadership of the university will come back with answers over time with recommendations, and we'll discuss. So one of those questions was, what about engineering? Well, that question stimulated what I would say is a lot of conversation with a lot of people. And in particular, somebody I believe who is not here today is Tom Rosenbaum, who was at the time the provost of the university. And Tom and I, starting from the moment he became provost and for significant amount of time thereafter, had spent a lot of time on this together, and Tom was a great partner in helping develop this whole effort. And I'd also, while I'm talking about provosts, I'd like to also thank Tom's successors, Eric Isaacs, Daniel Diermeyer, and Kai Lee, all of whom played a role in the ongoing development and support of PME. Then, of course, I'd like to thank Tom and the whole Pritzker family, Tom and Margot, Penny and Brian, Nick and Susan, and Gigi and Michael. And this was as you can see listening to Tom, Tom is an extraordinary person to talk to about strategy, structure, what's going to make this something work, and what are the obstructions lurking that are going to make it not work. And I couldn't have a better partner than Tom in helping me to think about these issues, think about the nature of what is it going to take to actually do this and get it done. And so I want to thank Tom in particular as one of the university trustees who played an important role, but who played just a very deep role in terms of conversations in just thinking about this whole effort in so many ways and what it was going to take to make it happen. And of course, for the extraordinary philanthropy of the Pritzker family in creating the Pritzker School of Molecular Engineering. Now, a key moment in the development of this whole effort, what Tom has already alluded to, which was the Seidner Committee, which was a committee that was appointed to think this through and say something intelligent about what we should actually do. And with that very specific charge, Steve led the effort and produced what I think was a really wonderful report that has in fact provided tremendous guidance to the development of PME. And I think this report over time will be seen as a significant historical document for the University of Chicago and how it has developed. So I want to express my thanks to Steve for taking on that task and for just the great capability and wisdom you exhibited in leading that entire process. Now, because this is a university that's not the only committee we appointed regarding this, we had a committee of trustees that was chaired by Walter Massey that sort of went along and sort of followed our thinking. So, because at the end of the day, this was taking on a huge effort. It was evidently going to be expensive. It was not without risk, and it was a total departure for the university. So I want to thank the trustees of the university in general, for which Tom played obviously a very singular role, but Walter also played a singular role in helping us and then ensuring that the board understood fully what it is we were about, and endorsing that it was a good thing to be thinking and doing. So thank you, Walter, for this and so many other things as well. One of the other important moments is that we were saying to ourselves, what are the assets we have in order to actually make this work? And one of that was the relationship with Argonne National Laboratory, that the instrumentation at Argonne sort of looked like somebody had built it in anticipation of this effort. And, you know, $1 billion here, $1 billion there, it works. And so the leadership of Argonne and first Eric Isaacs, then who was Eric's successor? Oh, Peter Littlewood, I'm sorry. Peter Littlewood and Paul Kearns have also been so important in this development. But not only Argonne, but the Department of Energy itself. And one of the first people I went to see is these ideas with Tom and with Steve and with Tom Rosenbaum and with many conversations were developing as I went to see Pat Damer, who many of you know, at the Department of Energy. And I said to Pat, here's what we're thinking. And if we actually think about this as a joint effort with Argonne, it will not only make it more likely to be more powerfully successful at the university, but it will add huge value to Argonne. And so what do you say, Pat? And she said, okay, this is great. Let's do it. So Pat was a very important early supporter. And of course, DOE, being a government agency, changes over time. New administrations, new people, and we've had the support not only of Pat and her crew at that time, but more lately from people at the DOE now, Paul DeBar, Steve Binkley, Harriet Kung, and others. And it's been wonderful partnership, and of course demonstrated in really quite spectacular ways around the work and the DOE support for the work concerning quantum information sciences. So that's a little bit of some of the people involved, but there's another key point, which goes back to Tom's people comment, which is, and I've seen this throughout the university, you have an idea, you want it to work, you think about what it should be, and then the question is, who's the leader? And what we've seen is, if you do the right work up front and you get the right leader, things are going to work. And if you don't get the right leader, it doesn't matter how much work you've done beforehand, it's not going to work. So we needed the right leader, so we did a search, and lo and behold, we got the right leader. So Matt, of course, has been really extraordinary in multiple ways in building PME. And of course, the single most important thing is who are the faculty you're recruiting. And I knew from the beginning that this was going to be a success if the first half dozen people we recruited were great, because then it would build on itself and people would say, okay, look who's there, I'll go too. But if the first half dozen people you recruited were okay and were not builders and did not have the spirit of wanting to come and build and think about things in new ways, but were sort of just looking for a job and, oh, well, that's a sort of a nice job, it wasn't going to be so great. But fortunately, the recruitment was from the beginning truly outstanding and inspiring, and sort of one after another, I was just so excited and inspired by seeing the cases that Matt sent up to the provost's office, and then somehow I felt like I made my contribution by saying, you know what, time for me to segue to be Chancellor. Let's go get another president, and lo and behold, recruited another great person for PME and the chemistry department. I know we've got some people here who would not forgive me if I did not mention that. So I want to thank and express my appreciation and admiration to the faculty who have come here to build PME. And it's been exciting to watch. It's going to be exciting to watch from my new seat. And I'm just deeply grateful for the boldness that the faculty took in coming here, the vision that they demonstrated, and for the work that they've done in making PME a great success over 10 years. And there'll be more because there'll be more time and lots of time to do great work. Okay, so thank you very much. Again, thanks to all of you. This was an effort by many people in a broad way, doing all sorts of different things. And it's part of the excitement, part of the fun, part of the interest, part of the challenge, but that's okay. And thank you all. Okay.